With only 24 hours remaining until the UFL Conference Championship Sunday kicks off with the first game, we're here for one of three videos you will get today here on the channel. The first one being my picks, where I am now currently 24-16 on the season. How do I favor in playoffs? Well, we'll see after this weekend because I've got some bold predictions and picks. Here's how it'll work today. So first, we're doing the Pick'ems video. And then a couple hours later, we will be posting the USFL Conference Championship preview, the Birmingham Stallions and the Michigan Panthers. That full breakdown will come just in a couple hours. And then after that, this evening, we will be breaking down the XFL Conference Championship game with St. Louis Battlehawks and the DC Defenders. So let's go ahead. Let's get these pick'ems underway. I did want to just announce something big. I am working already on the 2026 season and plans for it for this channel and everything like that. I am going to be doing a huge pick'em league for the 2026 season with the opportunity to win 2 UFL season tickets for the 2027 season. After obviously the pick'ems end, we'll be doing that. We've got a lot on this channel. We just hit 300 subscribers. I am going to do my yearly thing of basically for my subscribers doing a UFL season tickets for the 2026 season. Details on that here shortly, but let's go ahead without further ado and move into the picks, starting out with the Michigan Panthers, who are 6-4, going against the 7-3 Birmingham Stallions for the USFL Conference Championship. Now, we'll be talking more about why I think this pick will happen in the preview of the game coming up in a couple hours. But without further ado, I've got to say, when it comes down to this, we know that the Michigan Panthers in modern day USFL history, dating back to 2022 season, the Michigan Panthers are 0-7 against the Birmingham Stallions. As we move into this conference championship game, I've got to say that in that preview, we'll talk about Bryce Perkins and everything, but they are coming off 2 losses. The Stallions are coming off a massive win in Week 10, a very high-scoring win. But in the end, I've got to say, I am heading for a new championship game that we have never seen before, and teams that we've never seen before in a conference championship. That may be a spoiler for the next pick. But in this one, I am going with the Michigan Panthers to finally defeat the reigning and defending 3-time spring football champions between the USFL and the UFL, to knock them out of contention to go for a 4th championship. I think with essentially, and we'll talk about this in the preview video, with Bryce Perkins coming back, Toa Towel coming back as well, and getting that rushing game potentially going for the Michigan Panthers, I have to go with the Michigan Panthers in this game. I do think that this will be a very tight game, very close game, but in the end, probably late in the 4th quarter, I think the Panthers make a ultimate comeback and end up winning this game for the USFL Conference Championship game. And that would essentially lead them to their 2nd championship as a team, going back to the 1983 USFL Conference Champion or USFL championship game that the Michigan Panthers ended up winning. As the last appearance they've made in a championship game, and I do think that Mike Nolan and company will be able to defeat a different Stallions. Yes, they came off very strong in Week 10, But this is not your normal Birmingham Stallions team that we've seen over the past essentially couple years. They were 9-1 last year going into the conference championship game against the Panthers last year. This year, there's some flaws with injuries and everything like that. But again, we'll talk about that in the preview. That is my pick for this game. Then we go to the XFL Conference Championship game with none other than the 6-4 DC Defenders taking on the 8-2 St. Louis Battlehawks in the Dome at America Center. Again, there is no reason, I will say it, and I think everyone else is saying, there is no reason, Battlehawks fans, that this game does not get more than 40,000 in attendance. That Dome has to be loud, has to be proud, and ready to cheer on your Battlehawks, because I do think that this will play a critical part in the DC Defenders offense struggling. Well, Jordan Ta'amu is coming into the game. He is no longer technically the top passing in passing yards for the 2025 season. Luis Perez, who did not sit out in Week 10, ended up essentially passing Jordan Ta'amu for regular season passing yards record. But in this game, I do think it is going to be a struggle for the DC Defenders if St. Louis shows up. Now, of course, we know DC fans travel. I saw it in San Antonio back in 2023 with the XFL Championship game. Met a lot of great DC Defender fans, and they are going to travel to this game to get hyped up as well. But I think at the end of the day, Max Duggan, who a lot in the comment fields of these videos here on YouTube and throughout the internet think Max Duggan cannot get to the championship game and is not a championship quality quarterback. I disagree. I think in this level of stage, the St. Louis Battlehawks are on a whole different level that they have not been in any prior season they have played in. Anthony Beck is in his third season. He is doing a tremendous job with the Battlehawks this year, coming off a ugly, as I want to call it, ugly breakup from AJ McCarron last year. They were in the XFL Conference Championship game last year against the San Antonio Brahmas and came up short. This year, I think the level of hype, the level of essentially like the crowd, the fans getting into this, I really do think that at the end of the day, the St. Louis Battlehawks come off with a victory here. Now, of course, the only thing, and I got to say, he's done a fabulous job this year. Shannon Harris has done absolutely excellent job for the DC Defenders being the interim head coach. I do think that this, despite the fact having a very great offensive line this year, they don't have many injuries. Abram Smith, Jordan Ta'amu. There was rumors they were supposed to get Ty Scott back. I do not see him on the depth chart for them, so that's a little bit of an issue as well when it comes to that. He was supposed to be returning from injury. There's a lot on the line here, but at the end of the day, I do think that the overall atmosphere of the Dome at America Center being a hot ticket tomorrow for the St. Louis Battlehawks, I think they will get their season high attendance record in this game, and they will be punching their ticket to the UFL championship game in just over a week and a day away. In St. Louis, they will get basically home field advantage, I believe. Yeah, they would probably have the higher record here. They would get home field advantage for the UFL conference champion, or the UFL championship game in St. Louis. I do think that overall that will be what happens here. And I do think that this will be it'll be good for the league. Let me just put it that way. I know a lot of people may criticize me on that front, but in the realm of things, this is kind of what the league needs. I've talked about this last year when St. Louis was in the conference championship game, that They really need that hype, that excitement, and just that atmosphere for a championship game that they somewhat got last year, but wasn't as massive as it could have been with St. Louis playing. I will say that this does not affect my ability and why I'm picking St. Louis here. I do think that overall, when it comes down to coaching, to the players on the field, and the atmosphere of the Dome at America Center, that's where I think this comes up clutch for the St. Louis Battlehawks getting this victory. Not necessarily because the league needs a massive game for that championship on ABC. I think that would be a huge thing, but I just feel overall when we are looking at player to player, offense to defense, whatever the case may be, I think that St. Louis is going to have a little bit of advantage with that home favor or home crowd, and being the favorite basically team to win here. So that's my pick. Let me know in the comments, what is your picks for these games? I think this game here may not necessarily be a blowout, but I think that it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game, that St. Louis will take that lead early and kind of lead off that as they head into the final couple minutes of this game. I think they will... DC will be fighting at the end, trying to make or basically come back to win this game, but will fall up short in the end, which will crown the St. Louis Battlehawks the first time in their storybook history in the XFL and now UFL, going to the UFL championship game next week. They will become the XFL conference champions, adding to that list. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it. And quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, despite the fact DC Defenders faced the Arlington Renegades in the 2023 XFL championship, and then fast forward to now, I do not believe we'll get the Birmingham Stallions and DC Defenders basically in the championship game. I think we will get two new teams that have never been in it before. At least one team that's never been in a championship game. The Panthers in the 80s were obviously not even close to being the same team. But yeah, in the end, I think this will be great. Absolutely amazing games this weekend, and then it'll wrap up next week with the Panthers versus the Battlehawks for the championship, which in its own would be an absolutely amazing game. Let's not forget that. I do believe, though, no matter the matchups, whether it is DC and the Panthers, St. Louis and the Panthers, St. Louis, any combination out of those four teams that we get in the UFL championship game, I do not think we are going to have a repeat of last year with the Birmingham Stallions shutting out a team, or any team for this matter, heading into that championship game. I do not think we are going to get a shutout again for the league. Stay tuned, people, because there is a lot of stuff coming. More videos today, and then we've got a lot of breakdowns this upcoming week. We'll do full game recaps tomorrow evening. Because these games are back-to-back tomorrow, I am not going to record a video right after the USFL Conference Championship game. I will wait until the end of the second game. I do not want to miss a minute of any of these games. So stay tuned tomorrow night for the full recaps for those. Monday, we'll be talking about some rumors that are currently going around about the Seattle Sea Dragons, the overall perspective of the expansion of what we're hearing, and then, of course, potential of the season being moved to earlier next year. We are already hearing that, but that could be even more confirmation of the Seattle Sea Dragons coming back next year due to the renovations of Lumen Field, or Seattle Stadium, as it's going to be called, for the Soccer World Cup coming up in 2026. There's a lot of things happening there. And then, of course, we are going to wait for that potential halftime announcement during the UFL championship game on expansion. We'll talk about that and more, and we'll see you on the flip side here in a little bit for your UFL Conference Championship previews. Have a great one, everyone. See you on the flip side.